And then later on, when she, after going through a prolonged period of harassment by a so-called civilian leader and civilian government, and then by a military dictator, she came back, and that's the image which I think we all share and we will all relish and will never forget, of her arrival on 18th October 2007 in Karachi, and the press conference which preceded in Dubai, when she was saying goodbye to her family, to her daughters and to her husband, and then I mean, knowingly that she was going in a country where a lot of people are out to get her, out to eliminate her, and the threats were real and communicated to her, and still she decided to come back to her country. And as President Zardari last night said, for the Bilawals of the nation, not just for her own Bilawal. And she came, and so happy she was, and so fulfilled and content when she came down from the plane, stepped down from the plane. And the way she conducted herself during the first attack in Karachi, Karsas, the way she cared for her workers who had been either martyred or injured, their families, and then she carried on with her campaign, with her political campaign, the message she had brought of reconciliation, the message of peace, and the message of democracy, and the way she led the political forces in a planned campaign, in a planned and well thought out campaign to force the dictator to hold the elections, shed the uniform, and eventually get out of the political scene. So I think this is one side of Benazir, which we have seen, of an ambassador of peace, goodwill, building bridges between Pakistan and the rest of the world, building bridges within Pakistan between different political forces, different sections of society. And there is one other image which was shown with sort of full force and full glow, was the Liaquat Bagh about 2 years ago, where not only she brought the message of peace and forgiveness and reconciliation, but at the same time, the will, the determination to fight the extremists and to defeat the Taliban. So her message was very clear, that this was not a message of a weak or a coward, when she was not only forgiving people who had betrayed her or who had been unjust to her, but at the same time she was showing the kind of the mettle of her mettle, the inheritance of Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and she gave the message of an uncompromising and fight to the finish against the forces which were out to destroy this country. So this combination of peace on one side and determination to fight on the other side, which reminds me of our guest poet here, Peter, who astonishingly and very happily, I would say, expresses the same quality in her poetry. So this was the kind of person which we lost on 27 December. So now, I mean, she gave her life for certain principles, for this country, and for of certain ideology. And it's only 2 years. Now, what is, where are the writers, as was questioned in that poetry? I would say, where are the people? Where are the intellectuals? Where are the journalists? Where are the Democrats? I mean, have they forgotten that she lost her life, she gave the ultimate sacrifice for a certain cause, and within 2 years, we are pretending as if nothing happened, as if this was all in vain. I mean, we have created crisis after crisis, manufactured crisis, one sensational scandal after another one, and the major, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge we have is that of survival of the civil society and the threat posed by the extremist forces, the militant forces in this country. And the second one is a process of peace and reconciliation and tolerance for each other. So I think that with the help of our very anchors with very inflated egos, and this sense and this feeling that as if they call the shots, they are the real rulers, and this whole country and the politicians and the people, they are all performing for them. They're trying to make us believe that there are other fundamental issues which are affecting our country. So I think when we see Mohtarma receiving Quaid-e-Azam's award, Quaid-e-Awam's award, I think Quaid-e-Awam, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he gave his life for the same cause of democracy, and then Benazir Bhutto Shaheed also carried on that struggle and finally gave ultimate sacrifice. And where do we go from here now? Are we going to wait for another Bhutto to be martyred, to be sacrificed, or are we going to develop a political system, a political culture, and a patriotic a movement in this country to save this country from the forces which killed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, which killed Benazir Bhutto, and which are still out to destroy the democratic setup of this country and the very basis of this country. So I think on this occasion, when we celebrate the contribution of the father and the daughter and pay tribute to them in the form of this award, I think it's about time to see that do we want another martyr from the family which is known for the sacrifices, or are we going to put an end to it forever? Thank you.
Mahmood Nadeem, for focusing our attention on one of the ironies of history, which is important to note widely, that when the Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto announced the founding of this particular award for democracy, the Quaid-e-Awam International Award for Democracy in 1995, of course, nobody could have foreseen at that point, and I believe she was not one of those to have forethought that she would be its first recipient, following the sorts of circumstances and grievous harm done to her own life, as pointed out by Mr. Shahid Mahmood Nadeem. Of course, the award was probably meant for other people when she announced it, but the circumstances have so led everyone else to come to this conclusion that she was the ultimate and the best choice. I now call upon Mr. Tariq Khurshid to speak about Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, possibly yet one more perspective which we can squeeze within this short afternoon. Thank you.